I want you to imagine looking back at the last 8 years of your life and seeing only a blur of hospital visits, late-night medication schedules, and the constant, heartbreaking decline of the person you loved most. This image, imagine a visual of an old woman's frail hand gently holding a younger woman's hand, is my reality. I spent 8 years of my prime, my late 20s and early 30s, caring for my ailing mother, who was battling advanced Alzheimer's. I put my life, my promising career as a research scientist, my engagement, my social circle, all of it on a shelf. I held her hand until her last breath, believing that love and loyalty were the ultimate currency. This was my sacrifice, my unspoken contract with fate. But when the will was read, and I saw the smug, laughing face of my brother, James, my heart shattered into 1,000 worthless pieces. My sacrifice was rewarded with a single, brutal inheritance, a dilapidated, rotting old house. My brother, who visited twice a year and called only to ask about Mom's stock portfolio, inherited every single liquid asset, every investment, the new mansion, and the entire fortune. And then, James leaned in and whispered the words that burned my soul. "Thanks for the superb nursing job, Clara. Good children often get only the emotional rewards." That insult was the single most defining moment of my life. It was a declaration of war. That day, I swore that he would pay for that emotional reward with every single penny of the fortune he thought he stole. Before I dive into the shocking details of how I plan my financial revenge, I want to hear from you. Where in the world are you watching this story of betrayal and justice right now? Let me know in the comments below. And if you believe that sometimes silence is the most powerful form of vengeance, pause the video right now and hit that subscribe button. We have a lot of injustice to uncover. My mother, Eleanor, was a highly intelligent woman, retired university professor who taught me that integrity was everything. When her illness took hold, it was rapid and cruel. James, my younger brother, a smooth-talking businessman living in Miami, immediately claimed he was too busy to help. "My business requires my full attention, Clara. You have more flexibility," he'd say, a phrase that still makes my blood boil. I moved back into the old family house. My world shrunk to medication schedules, doctor's appointments, and the agonizing loop of Mom asking the same question 10 times an hour. I became her primary caregiver, her companion, her cook, and her nurse. I documented everything, every medical bill, every hour of care, every decline in her cognitive functions. Why? Because deep down, the scientist in me knew that paperwork mattered, even if my brother didn't. I sacrificed my engagement when my fiancé said, "I can't compete with a dying woman, Clara." James never even sent a birthday card. The only thing that kept me sane was the belief that Mom knew. I believed that when the time came, she would honor my sacrifice. This belief was the only emotional asset I had left. When Mom finally passed away peacefully in my arms, I felt a devastating emptiness. James arrived 2 days later, impeccably dressed, full of performative grief and constant phone calls. The lawyer, Mr. Thompson, gathered us in his stuffy office 3 weeks later. James sat opposite me, his knee bouncing with anticipation. Mr. Thompson read the document, his voice monotonous, detailing my mother's substantial estate, the new $5 million waterfront mansion, the stock portfolio worth $8 million, and various other liquid investments. All of these assets, Mr. Thompson stated dryly, are bequeathed to her son, James Frederick Preston. My world tilted. The air left my lungs. And to her daughter, Clara and Preston, he continued, flipping a page, Mrs. Preston leaves the property at 42 Willow Creek Lane, the original family home. The original family home. The house where I had just spent 8 years of my life. The house that was literally falling apart from neglect, with a leaky roof and a termite problem. James couldn't hold it in. He burst out laughing, a loud, booming, triumphant laugh that echoed in the sterile office. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I stood up, looked at the lawyer, and signed the papers granting the entire liquid estate to my brother. I wanted to see his joy. I needed to remember that look forever. As we walked out, James pulled me aside, his smile cruel and genuine. He patted my shoulder like a boss complimenting a service worker. "Clara, let's be honest. You're emotional. You're sentimental. You'll love that house. It's full of memories," he sneered. "I'll take the money. You take the memory. You've earned it. Thanks for the superb nursing job, Clara. Good children often get only the emotional rewards. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a plane to catch. I'm taking my new money on a very long vacation." He didn't offer a hug. He didn't offer a single dollar. He walked away to his expensive car, leaving me shattered on the pavement. I returned to 42 Willow Creek Lane. The house felt like a tomb, a cruel monument to my betrayal. James was right. It was a wreck. I started the agonizing task of cleaning out 80 years of my mother's life. It was when I was cleaning out the old library, filled with my mother's dusty literature books, that I noticed something strange. Behind a section of the bookshelf, where Mom always kept her medical texts, the wallpaper seemed looser than usual. I pulled the wallpaper back. There was a small, crudely cut square of wood. Behind it was a miniature, rust-covered combination safe. My heart hammered. This wasn't just a coincidence. My mother, the meticulous professor, never did things by accident. She must have known. This safe wasn't mentioned in the will, which only listed the physical structure of the property. I spent the next 3 days trying every combination I could think of: birthdays, anniversaries, even the date she was diagnosed. Nothing. Finally, in a moment of sheer frustration, I remembered a tiny detail from her youth: the date she published her first academic paper, a day she often called her first real birth. I keyed in the obscure 6-digit date. The safe clicked open. Inside, there were no gold bars, no cash. There was only a single item, a thick, aged manila envelope sealed with wax and addressed to the executors of the Eleanor Preston Trust. The letter inside the envelope was dated 1 month before Mom's Alzheimer's diagnosis was made public, making it legally sound. I immediately contacted the law firm listed on the envelope. The letter revealed 2 earth-shattering secrets. The fiduciary trap. Mom knew James was greedy. She had placed all her major assets, the mansion, the stocks, into a complex revocable family trust before changing her will. The will gave James the assets, but the trust placed him under a fiduciary duty. The trust document stipulated a hidden clause. The beneficiary must prove that his personal financial life has been morally sound and free of any hidden fraud for the last 10 years. James's secret crime. The trust document referenced an attached confidential report. The report, compiled by Mom's private investigator, was the most damning thing I had ever seen. It detailed how 8 years ago, when Mom first became financially vulnerable, James had secretly siphoned over $200,000 from Mom's business account using a fake invoice for consulting services. This was the money my father had left her. This was elder financial abuse. Mom had known all along, but she used her money as bait and her intellect as a trap. My brother hadn't just been greedy. He was a thief who had financially exploited our vulnerable mother. And Mom hadn't disinherited me. She had given me the key to James's destruction. Chapter 5. The Price of the Day. I didn't call James. I didn't send a threat. I handed the sealed envelope and the attached report directly to the trust's legal firm. Their duty under the trust was immediate action. 2 weeks later, I was standing in the old house, painting over the water stains in the kitchen, when James burst through the door, his face mottled with fear and rage. "What did you do, Clara?" he screamed, throwing down an official-looking document. "The trust is freezing all my assets. They're demanding an audit. The lawyers say they have proof of an old financial crime. Where did they get that information?" I calmly set down my paint roller. "Hello, James. Did you enjoy your vacation? This is about the will, isn't it? You challenged the will. You are pathetic." "No, James," I said, walking towards the only valuable thing left in the house, the old, heavy mahogany desk. "I didn't challenge the will. I honored it. You received the assets, just as the will stipulated. But the trust stated that the beneficiary must be morally sound. You, James, are not. I opened the desk drawer and pulled out the old manila envelope. When you were out celebrating the millions you stole without earning, I was here, cleaning out the very walls that held the proof of your greed. You laughed and called this an emotional reward. I looked him straight in the eye. This old house was the only place Mom knew you wouldn't bother to look. She knew you were a thief, James. She created this elaborate trap to ensure that while you got the prize, you would ultimately fail the test of integrity. She gave me the tool to prove that you are unfit to manage her legacy. James stood there, the realization dawning that his mother's final act was not betrayal, but profound justice. He had lost the entire multi-million-dollar estate, not to me, but to his own criminal past. You ruined me, he whispered, defeated. No, I replied, picking up my paint roller. You ruined yourself 8 years ago when you stole from a sick woman. I simply ensured that your emotional debt was finally paid, and I used your mother's brilliant mind to do it. I watched as James, the supposed millionaire, walked away from the dilapidated house, his entire life crumbling around him. I stayed in the old house. I fixed the roof, mended the walls, and turned it into my home. It still has its memories, but now they are memories of strength and justice. I lost years of my life, but I gained an understanding that true wealth is not in a stock portfolio, but in integrity. I ask you, the viewer, was my mother's elaborate plan justified? Was this the perfect way to serve justice to my greedy brother? Comment below and let me know. And if you believe that the caretaker deserves the highest reward, please like this video and share it with someone who understands the silent sacrifice. Thank you for listening to my final act of justice.